Hello friends and welcome to another video lesson from Libya's Talks. If you haven't subscribed yet, please click subscribe and click the bell so that you can be notified of new uploads. This video is part of the playlist called Python tutorial, and here we'll be learning about concatenation, and which was briefly mentioned in the previous video if you were following. If you haven't really, if this is the first time you're coming to this channel, to this playlist, I do suggest you start watching the very first video in this playlist, Python tutorial, so you can really go through the flow and get the basics right. Okay. So anyway, concatenation is the joining of strings, and this is done by using the plus character, which is placed between strings that are to be joined. So let's see how it's done in several ways. Okay. So the first line is, if you've learned from my previous videos, the first line beginning with a hash is common, okay? So just for your information. So the first way I'm showing you, there could be a couple of many ways to do concatenation. I'm just showing you a couple of variations, if you will, to give you that flexibility, to be aware of the options that are at hand when doing concatenation. So the first option you can use is a string joined to another string. Remember, the plus or concatenation character is the one that is used to join the strings. So here we only have a single statement. The first one, remember, is just a comment. So the second is the actual command, line of code. So there's a print function, you know, the pair of parentheses. Inside that is the parameter, sometimes called argument. So I'm saying it's the parameter you're passing is consisting of a string, which is the ones enclosed in double quotes, and then you have the concatenation character operator, which is a plus sign, plus character, and then another string. Okay, so string plus, which is join or concatenate, another string. Okay, and then let's see how it goes. Okay, so we see that the two strings have been joined together. That's because of the use of the concatenation character, which is a plus. Okay, so next, let's see another example of another variation or option of doing concatenation. Okay, let me just cut this so it's clean. Okay. So again, there's a comment here. This is your second option that you can explore or try. This second variation consists of concatenating a string variable and a string value, okay, a hard-coded string. So if you look at the two lines of code that we have here, the first one is a declaration of a variable called x, and to it, we are assigning this string value, hard-coded. It says this was also made possible. Okay, and then in the second line we have the print command, again print function, and inside of that, if you look closely, it consists of a string variable, which is the one we declared just above, the concatenation operator, and a hard-coded string enclosing double quotes, and it reads by concatenation, ends with a full stop or period. So when we execute this, naturally it will try to concatenate x, which is the value of this variable, and join it together with the hard-coded string by concatenation. Let's see what happens. Okay. So this was also made possible by concatenation. Okay, so again, they were concatenated. And just as in the previous one, the only difference is that here, instead of using two hard-coded strings, the other one of the two is a variable, a string variable. Okay. Now let's look at a third example, a third option of concatenation. So the comment says, this is your option 3, you are using, or you are concatenating two string variables. So in this code, in this line, I'm declaring a variable called x, and to it, I'm assigning the value. This is a concatenation. And I'm declaring a second variable called y, and to it, I'm assigning this value of two string, excuse me, variables, of two string variables, okay? And finally, in the third line, I have the print function again, but this time I am calling or passing as a parameter two variables, two variable names, variable x, and then variable y, and the two of them being joined together or concatenated via the concatenation operator, which is a plus character. Okay, so print x plus y. Although for the unfamiliar, somebody seeing this for the first time or for the first few times, then you might automatically think what comes to your mind is addition of maybe algebra, addition of some variables in algebra, which are holding some numeric values, number values. But in this case, remember that we're doing concatenation, wherein the character being used is also a plus sign. And that can only happen if the things being joined, the objects are being joined, are string objects or string values. Okay, so let's just run this. Again, it concatenated the value of x variable to the value of y, variable y. So it shows this is a concatenation of two string variables. Okay, now let's look more closely at something I've highlighted in a previous video where I also mentioned concatenation. If you look at the value of variable x, this is it reads, this is a concatenation. You will notice that the value ends with a space here, space. So you will wonder, why is that? Why do I need that? Actually, for somebody just beginning to do concatenation, the usual mistake is to do this because it doesn't come across as obvious. There will be an obvious need for this space. So initially, you will think of this. You'll think of a phrase. This is a concatenation, and then the other phrase that you want to join it to. Okay, and then when you execute this, what happens is look at the place where they were concatenated. This is a concatenation of. So what happens is the two words, the last word, the first string, and the first word of the second string are joined together, just as you told Python to join them. So Python, of course, is not a human being. So for us, we have the visual, the advantage of looking at things. You can look and visually check. We can do an eyeball check, as we say. We use the term in IT. So to correct this, you have two ways. One is to add an extra space at the end of the first variable, which can be solved, okay? Or add a space at the beginning of the second variable, and it will do the same thing, okay? Okay. Let's look at the fourth way of or option that you can have, that you can consider in using concatenation. This is using another variable that will hold the concatenated values. How's that? So as usual, we have two variables being declared here, x and y, each one having its own value, which is consisting of a string, closing double quotes, can be single quotes. Although I believe it's a better practice to use double quotes. You can see later on in some other videos later on. And then we have a third variable being declared. So what happens is, instead of doing the concatenation inside the print command, what I'm doing is I am utilizing a new variable called z, or z for some of you. And in that z variable, I am passing to that the concatenated value of x and y. So I say z equals x plus y. So right at this point, concatenation will already happen prior to execution of the print. Okay, and then when once you get to the point of invoking the print command or function, what will happen is that what's being passed to that, no concatenation will happen here. It already happened at this point over here. So once you call the print function, you're already passing a concatenated value. Okay, let's see. So the output is this. This was also made possible by concatenation. So like I said, you have declared two variables as usual, but the concatenation, you're doing it now outside of the print command, outside of the print function. Okay, so you're assigning it to a new variable called z. And then finally, when you call the print function, you're passing to it the value of the new variable z, which already holds the concatenated value. Okay. Now let's use what we learned and combine it with the concepts discussed in some previous videos. Okay, let me just, okay. See, so here you have something familiar like the use of the input, which I discussed in the previous video. Okay, input, as you know, is the built-in Python function which prompts the user to enter a value. And then the parameter passed to it is the bunch of text which is being displayed on the screen to the user to inform the user what to do. It's a prompt. Okay, so I'm declaring two variables, first name and family name, or surname. You can call it family name, surname. And then finally, I have a print command which will do a concatenation so that you can see further, more examples of concatenation here. Okay, so on concatenation, the string hello there, doing the comma and the space after that. And then here's your concatenation. And then here is the first name, which is a string variable, the value being passed here. And then a concatenation character again, and then I'm joining it with a space. And then I am using again a concatenation character and then the family. And then, so if you look at it, it doesn't matter how many strings you join. Just remember, every time you join a string to a string, there must be a concatenation character, which is a plus in between them. Think of it as a glue, and it will be easy. Okay, let's run this thing. So because of the input function, it prompts me to enter something. Okay, so enter your first name. Okay, I'll enter. Enter your family name. I'll enter. Okay, so the first two are just the prompts as well as the values I entered after being prompted. And then the third one is the actual output of the print function. So it's a result of concatenation of multiple strings, right? So we have the first string, which is hard-coded hello there with a comma and a space after that, and then joined with the value, string value of first name, which is John, as entered by the user here. And then concatenated with space, so that there's a space between the first name and the family name. And then finally, you have not yet finally, you join it with the family name, which is Cruz, and then you concatenate it once again. Why? Because you need to have or put or add a period at the end of the sentence, which is this one. Okay, so imagine if we don't have this space, it will be the same thing that it will be the same thing as what you have seen in my previous example. Okay. Okay, I'll just put something. Okay, so if you look at this, if I removed the concatenation of a space in between the family name and the first name, then is what you've got. Hello there, John Smith. So you can see it doesn't look good, doesn't look right. So that's why when concatenating strings, you make a note on this little details, okay? So that your concatenated character will look nice and easy, like nice and good. Okay, so again, if you want to fix, you see, sometimes when we ask the user to enter something, let's just rerun this quick. Let's rerun it. So when we run this, the user isn't really, may not be so concerned about what to type as long as it's correct. Okay, example, types in this manner, and then this manner. Okay, just example. You can see the first name he entered in all lower case characters here. And the surname he entered in all uppercase here. Okay, so it will totally mess up the output, isn't it? So if we enter this, sorry, this is what happens. So because Python is just doing what you're telling it to do, then this as is, then it is what it is. The name will come out like this, John Cruz, with it doesn't look nice, it doesn't look proper, right? So one thing you can do is you can use function. Okay, let me just get it here to correct the casing of the letter of the name. Okay, see, let's try it again. Okay, see, so here let's try all lowercase, and then here I'll try all uppercase. Okay, let's see what happens. Because of the title function here. So what it does is it converts the value of the first name as well as the family name into what's called title case. Title case is a casing convention wherein the first letter of each word is set in capital letters or uppercase. That's title case. So you can use this. You can take note about this function over here, which is available when you use string characters. I mean string values, especially if you use a string variable. Okay. So in this video, we got to learn about the different ways, although there are many ways, other ways to do this, but we got to learn about at least 4 different ways of concatenation or concatenating strings, as well as practicing some of the other things we've learned in the previous videos. We touched a little bit on the use of the input function here, and as well as a new function called title, which displays text in title case. Okay, so focus on the new concept as well as the previous concepts learned in the previous videos. Okay, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. If you haven't subscribed yet, please click subscribe, and I hope to see you in the next video.